Welcome to another episode, everyone. Karmelo Anthony will die at the hands of the Aryan Brotherhood. They're in prison. Word is the Aryan Brotherhoods are out to get Karmelo Anthony. Of course, Karmelo Anthony is the young black man accused and since found guilty of stabbing to death one Austin Metcalf, a young white man. So the case has racial overtones. And individuals believe that once Karmelo Anthony hits the system, he was found guilty and already has been sentenced to 35 years in prison. And word is that the AB, the Aryan Brotherhood, or other racist, white racist groups, they're in prison. The skinheads, the Nazi lowriders, what have you, will hit Karmelo Anthony and take him out. I just seen a video just yesterday or so where individuals said 5 ways that Karmelo Anthony will die in prison. Went on to say that Karmelo Anthony may blank himself, that the Aryan Brotherhood may take him out, etc. The blacks may take him out because he has money and that they are predators and will get on him. Me, myself, Damian Porter, I've done over 30 years in the penal system. So I can speak to what Karmelo Anthony may face there in prison and whether or not he will survive. We all know that, or perhaps you don't know, that the AB, the Aryan Brotherhood, took out Hugo Pennell, the leader there in prison of the BGF. They had a hit out on him for nearly 50 years. They passed the hit down from generation to generation. Hugo Pennell lost his life right there on a yard in Folsom a couple of years back. They attacked him. This should have never happened. He should have had protection, and it's a black eye to the blacks in California and the blacks that were on that yard with him. There are only a few whites on every yard in the prison system in California. And from my understanding, it's the same way in the Texas prison system. So Karmelo is going to be okay. But Hugo Pennell was not, even though there are only, particularly as a relative to the number of black inmates on the yard, there are just a minute number of whites on the yard in comparison to the black. There are hundreds of blacks on the yard, as opposed to maybe 15, 16, 17 whites that be on each prison yard, and it's 400 blacks or something. There's no way that they should have been able to get to Hugo Pennell, stab him up, and take his life. A riot happened while they were right there stabbing Hugo Pennell up. Hugo Pennell had done nearly 50 years in the SHU program. He was involved with the incident with George Jackson on the day that they claimed Comrade George Jackson was trying to break out of prison. They had unalived some whites. This is back in 1971. And yet he went to the hole and was in the SHU program, was Hugo Pennell for all of that time until he got out. And as soon as he got out of the SHU program, they killed him some days later. As soon as he hit the yard, they still remembered what happened in 1971. Some of the individuals that took him out were not even born then, but they had passed the hit down from generation to generation. If this dude gets out of the hole, or when he gets out of the hole, he has to go. Virtually hours after he got out of the hole, some 50 years later, they killed him on the yard. And the blacks were there, and the blacks responded and started stabbing some whites up, and they were going back and forth. But the whites were able to target Hugo, get on him, and take his life. Should have never happened. It's disgusting. Will Karmelo Anthony suffer the same fate? Will the Aryan Brotherhoods be extremely upset over the murder that happened, or the manslaughter, the life being taken that the state accused Karmelo Anthony of murder? And will they seek revenge? From my understanding, the Aryan Brotherhood right there in Texas, they're not that deep, just like they're not in any prison. And reportedly, they're not going to want any problems with the brothers, understanding that if they attack this man, particularly take his life, but attack and put their hands on him in any way, that there's going to be an immediate response, an immediate riot, and they will be attacked. This is how it goes. And if there are not that many of them there on the yard, not that many whites, then they're not going to take that chance. They're going to possibly want to stand down and sit this one out. So the brothers there are charged with protecting Karmelo Anthony. Young, 19 years old, has 35 years in prison, new to the system, doesn't understand the politics. He may be forced to join a gang to ensure his protection. Nevertheless, all of the brothers there, be it Muslims, Christians, Crips, Bloods, it doesn't matter, are charged with protecting him, considering the nature of his charges and how other races, or at least the white race, may want to avenge Austin Metcalf's death. At this point, I do not believe that there's any hit out on Karmelo Anthony, and I do believe that he can and will survive prison. It's written, the brothers, individuals are saying, are predatory. Some of them, they're behind the walls and are going to try to prey upon Karmelo Anthony. He's young, again, very young, 19 years old, still in his teens, doesn't have a clue, doesn't have an idea of how prison works and what's going on in there. Supposedly he has a little money from a GoFundMe. And will he become prey in prison at the hands of his own people, at the hands of other black men who are charged with protecting him from everyone else, considering the nature of his charge? I do not believe so. He may, again, have to join some group because blacks are fractured. In every prison system, we are separated. We have all of these different sections, and he may have to pick one of them and then be protected. He may not be allowed to just roam the yard free and say, I don't belong to any particular group. Particularly if you expect to get protection from any of these groups. Once you join one group, now, if the whites put their hands on him, then every black is involved, regardless of the group. But if he is from a certain group and the blacks do something to him or to that group, then it's between them. So we'll see what happens with Karmelo Anthony. I do not believe that he will take himself out. I do not believe that he will blank himself. I do not believe that the medical staff will allow him to just die. I do not believe that the whites will be able to get their hands on him. He should be well protected by the blacks. That will be the biggest danger. That will be the biggest threat to him if it were the California prison system. Would be the whites trying to get their hands on him if they so chose to avenge Austin Metcalf's death. But in that case, every black in every prison would have to respond, would need to respond and squash the problem immediately. In every prison, they need to go up and send a strong, stern message. And more than likely, that is what would happen in the California prison system. He's in Texas. I don't know how that prison system works, other than the word that I've gotten, the news that I've received, again, which is that the AB, the Aryan Brotherhood, are not that deep in there, not as violent as they are in the California penal system. And they don't want the problems with the brothers there. And there's going to be some problems should they move to put their hands on him. But this is, I've never been there, so I'm not sure. This is just what I've heard. They could be deep. And even if they are not, and it is just a few of them, they can not care about that, not care about the numbers and say he's a target and we're going to attack him. They certainly did not care in Folsom State Prison. Hopefully the blacks have learned their lesson about protection, about keeping protection on the individuals who need said protection and security, and to making sure that we don't lose any of our own. We'll see what happens. Hopefully Karmelo Anthony stays strong and is able to make it through such a miserable system. It doesn't take you long to catch on, to understand the rules and the politics. He just needs to go. Someone needs to put him under their wing, lace him with what the politics are there in prison and how to comport himself and make it out. If he does that and he follows all of the rules and the protocols and does not flout any rule or protocol, then he will survive the experience like anyone and everyone else. But should he flout the rules and the protocols, go outside of his security, then he puts himself in danger like everyone else. So to this point, I believe that Karmelo Anthony will not succumb to any predators as it relates to black men behind the walls. He will not succumb to any racist group that wants to get their hands on him because they are racist. And he was trying to defend himself. And the brother should not go for any of that. Should anyone try to raise their filthy hands towards our brother, but it's time to stand up and start fighting everywhere, from inside to outside. You're not going to keep killing our kids and getting away with it. So Karmelo Anthony he'll be okay. He's clearly strong. Groups are going to want him to join their group because they feel like he's a beast. He's savage. He's already shown that he'll use a knife if necessary, even in self-defense, whatever. Some people won't even defend themselves. He's already shown that he at least has the heart to defend himself and to use a weapon if and when necessary, and that's on the street. So they're going to assume that it'll be even more so there in prison and are going to want to solicit his services. They want to want him on their side, knowing that he's prone to use a weapon, if not prone or has a propensity for it, at least will not hesitate to use one if and when called upon. So individuals are going to be vying for his loyalty when he hits the yard. And again, he's going to have to make a decision of who he's going to run with. He can, of course, say, if he were in a California prison, that I don't gangbang. He would then run with the non-affiliate cars. The non-affiliate car, individuals who are not members. That's it. You don't have to join a gang. You can just be a non-affiliate and say, I'm going to run with the non-affiliate car. In that case, again, all of the blacks, knowing his situation, will still have his back. But I don't know how it works anywhere else. We'll see. Hopefully the brother is okay and will survive. But I do not believe that anyone else from any other race will be able to put their hands on Karmelo Anthony. If black men are worth their grits, it'll never happen. Stay safe and stay free, people.